become a bit silent over the V6s. Well, how about V0s? Because there's no engine sound. What has happened? I don't know. This is interesting. Guys, can we get, guys, the engine sound? Hello? No? Okay, we're going to roll with it because the engines are all broken. Are they all broken? They're all broken. I repeat, all the engines are broken. Okay, so this has happened, but quiet F1 car boy here, and welcome to Suzuka. Welcome to the land of the rising sun. Well, might as well call it the land of the silent sun. All these you can hear the spectators more than the F1 cars right now. Okay, this is new. I've not ever had this before. Hope you can hear engine sound. If you can, put it in the comments because this is interesting. Well, right now we have Tony in P1. I've never heard like this in my entire life. But this is very interesting. So we are here in Suzuka, the circuit that first hosted a Grand Prix back in 1987. And the circuit, of course, is most famous for some incidents that happened in 89 and 1990. You could probably guess who that was. If your name goes along the name of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost twice, you'd be correct. Now, the question is, of course, what are these drivers going to be doing? Well, it's going to be interesting. I'm just thinking if I can get the sound working, which I can't. So this is going to be interesting. Hopefully, it does come back. And hopefully, of course, you can hear anything. Now, I don't think you can, but hopefully you can hear my voice, which is the main priority if you can hear me. If you can't, it's a bit awkward. Well, 6 minutes ago in qualifying, and if you're just joining us, we have some Red Bull off into the wall at Dunlop. Now, who is that? Well, there's got to be, is it Chris? It is Chris off in the wall then, so that is interesting to see. And yes, you cannot hear any sound. Now, this is interesting. Now, I do apologise. Hopefully the sound returns. But, well, this is interesting. Well, let's see if the Red Bull is going to come out into the wall. Yes, he is. And that's the front wings come off. And he's going again. So Chris has got himself back going. 13 drivers, by the way. 2 of them already out of the qualifying. That's not good. Plix is currently on pole position at 1 minute 30.4. 1 minute 30.5. 1 minute 30.6. Also 1 minute 30.6. Then at 130.7 and at 130.7, 2 hundredths of a second, Luton and Max. Vettel in 7th, Senna in 8th. Daddy is currently out of the session. Chris down there in 10th, and Cam, who's running 0 tracks in total, is in 11th, goes up to P7 now. Now, if you remember last week, just 7 days ago, we had a bit of an incident in Monza. Now, if you want to cast your minds back, 7 days ago, last corner, last lap, there was a bit of an accident. Now, we've seen the replays, of course, a few times, and you could tell just how slippery it was. And we saw a spectacular accident with Leclerc, Cam, and a few other drivers as well. Plix, I think, involved in the Ferrari that week as well. So a few drivers involved. Now here today in Suzuka, they've all been rebuilt. The drivers are okay, no injuries sustained, luckily for them. And we've gained a few drivers now because we're up to 13 instead of 9, of course, we had last week. 4 minutes ago in qualification here. And if I am sounding like everything's a bit weird right now, it's probably because it is. I've not ever commentated with pure silence. All I can hear from my headphones is the sound of the game. And that's about it. Just the sounds of the spectators and just the sound of the commentator. No engine sound. I'm just going to check, by the way. Unless I've done something wrong, which I haven't. I don't know why the engine's gone. But we're going to roll with it. The most interesting issue I've ever had as a commentator, the engines are all broken. Now, I mean, not to say, but there was a patch earlier today, so that's obviously not gone very well. And I'm not sure if anyone else ever had this issue. Do let me know in the comments if you've had this issue as well. But, or at least if you know how to fix this on the fly. Hopefully it returns for the race, and that'll be a very good sight to see. Tony, meanwhile, P1 with a 1 minute 30.1. That is the quickest time so far, ahead of Plex, Leclerc. Yellow flag is one of the Red Bulls going slow. Is that Cam going slow, getting out of the way? Yes, it is. 3 minutes to go in qualification. Not the best place to park a car. Luckily for him, I don't think anyone else is near the Red Bull so far, so he's very lucky. Through turn 1 we go. That is Vettel then in the Ferrari lane. Now they come up to the S section. Left, right, left again as they come up the top of the hill into the left. then up to right. This longer right-hander before Dunlop, of course, where you chuck it into this fast left-hander up the hill, and you just rise up the top of Dunlop, past, down towards Degner 1 and Degner 2, then into this tricky little corner. 7th gear, chuck it down into 6th, sometimes they go into 7th, then down into 4th gear, maybe even 3rd, down to 2nd on the exit, a little bit wide there, as they now come up to the hairpin, then chuck it in here. And this corner, of course, synonymous for just overtakes. You can see dives down the inside. What's up for lap number 1 down there? Now they come through down into Spoon, of course. Most commonly named because it looks like a spoon, even though it really doesn't. But it more looks like a bread knife or something like that. But into Discount Spoon, which is a spoon, of course. Now on the exit, now you blast it down towards 130. Now, that corner named up to 130-degree radius like it originally was built in the 1980s. That corner, not really 130 yards, it's more probably a bit less than that. It's a bit more tighter than it used to be because still got the 130-yard corner name, it's synonymous with it. Now they come down into the chicane, of course, where you see some almighty moments in Formula 1 as well. And now they come through over the bump as they come down the pit lane and across the line. Let's see, where is Vettel going to go so far? Stays 7th for the time being, with just over 1 minute to go. Tony so far at the pitch, you've got Plix, Leclerc, so I think Tony right now has a bit of trouble right now. He won't get another lap in. Looks like Plix is back off his lap. Maybe just trying to warm it up for his next flying lap. We're looking at Charles Leclerc right now then. He's currently in 3rd position. Vettel is out of qualifying. He is happy with that one then. We're watching here as Leclerc through the exit of the chicane, down then towards the start line. He'll have another lap if he needs it. Let's see, can he get himself on the front row? The answer to that is so far, no, he cannot. Now he begins his lap. We're looking at I6 on the lap. We've got Max, Luton. We got Cam on out there. We got Ayrton Senna crossing the line right now. He's currently down in P9 going for his lap. We've got Chris, who's deciding to take the old version there, and that is damage on the brawn as well. And into the wall he goes. Now that isn't what you want to see then. So a few drivers going off, and that is Leclerc, and that is round. Has he caught the car? Yes, he has, and that is very close there. Don't want to be doing that in that corner. Gets out of the way into the gravel trap, and spinning there at a very high rate of knots there. At least 140 miles an hour. He spun the car. That is his qualifying over. Now let's see who else is on a lap. We're looking here at I6 on a lap as well. Max on a lap down at the back. So let's see what we can do. Well, we got I6. He's currently coming through down towards the chicane. Then he's up by just over a 10th of a second. Down into the chicane. He needs to fight a bit more than that. But so far, so good then. Exit on the corner then. Let's see. Can I6 displace Leclerc and get himself on the front row? Yes, he can. With a 1 minute 30.3. Puts him quick as Plix crosses the line. He does not improve. He stays 3rd. Leclerc out. Now it's down to, let's see, Max coming through. We got Cam on his out lap. He's might just, he's very, very close. Is he going to get another lap in here? He is going to get another lap in. Time lap of perfection. Let's see then. We got Max coming through the bottom of the circuit. Let's see then into the last corner. What can Max do? He's currently 5th. Goes 4th then. Displaces Leclerc. We've got a car off. That's one of the Ferraris. They're down. And well, is that your pit entry? Is that the pit end? Yeah, it is the pit entry. So, oh dear. That Ayrton Senna disqualified from the session. Now let's see what Cam can do then. Now this is all going to be Cam's background then. Let's see. Can he get himself up on the front where we got Plix, I think, on a lap as well. Yes, Plix on a lap also. So he's going to fly for his last lap as well. Let's see what he can do. Cam, he's out of the session. So it's now all down to Plix. And let's see what he can do. Let's see then, through the corner, down the straight, down towards 130R. What can Plix do, by the way? It's going to be interesting because he's just down by a 10th of a second. So now he has to come through the last couple of corners. He needs to find just over a 10th in a bit to get himself on the front row. Can he do it, though? He was down in 10th for the first sector, down in 10th for the second. Can he regain it in the third sector? That is the answer. No, he can't. Engine sound blasts out. We have engines, I repeat. And Plix is 3rd. So, Tony on pole, but he has a time penalty. He has a penalty, I thought I just saw that. So yes, 5 positions. That means I6 is on pole position. We didn't catch it, but I6 on pole, and Plix is 2nd. Well, that is a surprise. So, Tony with a penalty in qualifying. And now we're all going to be seeing what can the rest of the field do then. That's going to be incredible. I've never seen that in my life. That is a shock for qualifying, because now you can see the clouds. So that's going to mean we have a new grid. So that means that Tony will start down in P5, P6 area there. So that's going to be interesting. So good to see we've got our engine sounds back, by the way. That's always good to see for what is going to be just over 13 laps. That will take around about just over half an hour to go there. Remember, the formation lap is on. Let's see what we can do then with all the drivers. Slight cloud overhead. It's going to be interesting. Down towards turn 1. It's a long run down there. It's about 300-400 meters into a quick right-hander. Then, of course, you break down into turn number 2, of course, which is the follow-on to turn number 1. And that's going to be seeing, are we going to see drama into there? And are you going to get it all clean up, down into the S's? That's the crucial thing, of course, at the start of this race. Is everyone going to keep it clean? These 2010 cars that we saw in qualifying, very on the edge. Leclerc spinning. Here we are on the formation lap plan. And the drivers are off on their formation lap then. And let's see what they can do then. Now, I do apologise, by the way, if I do seem a little bit quiet today. It's because I do have wisdom teeth coming through. So I'm in a little bit of pain. But we got McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull. Then comes the Brawn. Then comes the Red Bull. Then comes the other Ferrari. Then comes the other Brawn. And at the back, the Ferrari of Ayrton Senna. Be interesting to see what they can do there. You can see already on the formation line, they're all bunching up. Now this, of course, is just a situation where some of the drivers are a little bit desperate. They want to get going as soon as they can. You can see them all warming their tyres up. There's I6, by the way, 1 and 2 together. That is third, and is that, who's that ahead? Is that sixth? Yeah, sixth. Who's jumps up back to P1. That's Tony, who starts second. He qualified on first position, remember. So he decided he wants to be where he was at the beginning. As you can see, that's I6. Now, he's spun, I think, because he was just ahead of Plix, and you can see, oh, melee going on here. What is going on the formation line? There's Cam going through. They're all tripping over each other right now. This is interesting. Well, let's see what they can do, of course. So, McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull. Top 3. Then comes the McLaren. Then comes the Red Bull. Then comes McLaren. Then Ferrari. Watch out for those bronze, as there is Cam T-boning a car and has been yeeted off the grid. And that isn't very good. Well, there's Crest. Watch out what they can do. The bronze very quick. Remember, if it works, and let's go to P1 then. You're so far down in the middle of everywhere. 13 laps ahead of the drivers. Let's see what they can do, remember. Long run down towards turn number 1. It's going to be messy, potentially. Let's see what the Ferrari can do on the inside. McLaren on the outside in turn number 1. So the Ferrari has the ideal line. As we wait for Senna at the back. And now then, we will get 5 red lights ahead of the drivers then. And when they go off, 1 light, 2 light. When the 3rd, the 4th, and when the 5th goes off, we're underway into Zuka. And it's lights out, away we go. Good start from the Ferrari. Good start for the McLarens. They squeeze through then. But it's crucially into turn number 1. It's immediately Ferrari versus McLaren. The Ferrari leads into turn number 1. McLaren there on I6 struggled wide. And that's not what to do. Contact, I think, down in the back there. I think 1 car going wide. Red Bull up to 4th. And I think we've got Tony making positions as well. 1 car going wide on the grass. 1 car going wide. 2 cars going wide. That must be Cam, I think, going wide. There's contact in the midfield. And that there is, I believe, Ayrton Senna involved on the first lap already. He started last. Had a good start, but damage already. And I think we've had also Daddy back off as well. But crucial for Plix to get that start. I6 in 2nd. Now we look Max and Luton in 3rd. Luton now attacking his fellow Red Bull teammate then. And let's see, no raid through up the inside. There is a raid through the inside because he dives on the inside. Late break, but did he cut the corner there, I'm wondering. Now that was a little bit, I think that might have got himself a slowdown. Potentially you had to get the position back through. Here we can see that Max, is he going to try slipping up the inside? He closes, has to lift off there, no way through at all there as they come down towards the end of that number one then. Red Bull, is the Red Bull going to pop on up the inside? Thinks better of it. If you look down the field, everyone clean away on this opening that, but it's Ferrari, McLaren, Red Bull. Then comes the other McLaren of Tony, up to 5th now, ahead of Vettel in the Ferrari. But everyone clean, rented away with this top 4 or 5 cars, and that is the crucial thing. But like I said, what a start, and what he needed to do was Plix get that start, jump ahead on the McLaren. He did that straight away. Ayrton Senna in the pit lane now. Perkins, I think, has gone wide at turn 1. There's been something going on there. Yellow flags are flying. So I'm wondering that might have been for Perkins, potentially that. But back up front, the gap, 0.4 of a second between I6 and Plix. And that is going to be interesting to see what they can do. And they come down to the hairpin, very close there. Plix almost in the back there. We've got Perkins, I think, going around again. That is a Dunlop, and he's out of the session. And that isn't what he needed to do. Now, look here at second position. That is I6. And this is what he needs to do, is close up. Perkins is out. He's left the session. He is absolutely furious. And by the looks of those mechanics, they are more so. Now you can see here Ayrton Senna down the back. He remembers he's made a stop already, so he's out of the running. Looking here for what battles are going on. And ready to see gap here. We've got McLaren versus Maxi then. Maxi's going to go to the outside then. Inside to say it's going to force McLaren the long way round. No way he can come through there. The Red Bull's slow, remember. The Renault engine, some 40 horsepower down on this McLaren. So the McLaren is going to be very quick, with the Red Bull supremely quick in terms of cornering ability. Look down the straight. You can see it closing up. Won't come through that the inside, my friend. Up front, 4 attempts separate these top 2 positions. And we're always going to look through these little gaps right now. It's so far, so good, so close. Lap 3, 10 to go here in Japan. And already we're seeing the first stages of gaps forming between these drivers. You can see I6 is quicker in the straight. Blixer seems a little bit quicker in turn 1 and 2. He runs wide, actually. For a second, I thought he went off the road. He got away with it. The Red Bull's closing up as well. We've got the other Ferrari, Vettel, down there in 6th position. And he's also closing up. Look up to the sky, by the way. Yellow flag sector 1. Is that Chris going off the road? It is the other Brawn going off. And the other Brawn out of the session. So already, I believe that's that. Both the Brawns out. I think it might be then. So both Brawns out before the race is already started. Unfortunate for the Brawn team, as Chris has also left the session. Here we can see the McLaren again. He's got that gap down to 3/10. Now he punches the car. The F-tap most likely open. He's closing up. He's closing all the time. Is he going to force that Ferrari into the corner then? Let's see. Is he going to try one up the inside then? He'll be brave. Has to go the long way round. The Ferrari holds his line. Runs wide. And now the question is, can he get the power on? Nose to tail, look at this. Great stuff between Ferrari and McLaren. A bit of lag going on here. Now is he going to pull to the inside line? He is. Having a look. Down towards turn number 1. Is he going to pull the inside line off here? Through he goes. Side by side the Ferrari. Still on the outside. He squeezes them wide as they come up to the exit. Still side by side. He's through. Round the outside. I6 up into the lead on the Japanese Grand Prix. And Plix in second. Now comes the Red Bull to try and snatch it away as well. But crucial for that McLaren to come back through. The Ferrari one's wide. Luton in third, just ahead of Tony. Vettel now down in P6, so he's dropped back a little bit places now. He's just ahead of Leclerc, so Vettel and Leclerc together. Behind them we got Cam, Beavy, Daddy's back in the Ayrton Senna. Down the back, remember, off that contact on the first lap. And now, crucially, that Ferrari is going to be wanting to come back on the McLaren. You can see how the McLaren just pulled away in the straight line. Let's see what the Ferrari can do. Hands a little bit wide. And what look at that in the background. You can see the Red Bull not too far back. And there you can see I6 weaving ever so slightly, trying to break that toe. And he's now got that gap about 0.5 of a second. Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren. That is your top 3. And just like it was 7 days ago when we saw Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull top 3, yet again, it is that. Though saying that, Luton now is going to be really want to try and come through it. Try and pressurize. Fastest lap for Luton. He needs really to try and come through with just over 3 rounds to go left in this championship. It's closing up. Luton so far has been the driver of these last couple of races, dominated in Monza, and now he's trying to win here again in Japan. And now the question is, can he try and come through? The Ferrari there and the McLaren, now those two cars very quick in a straight line, but the Red Bull, I'd say slightly more quicker as they fly past down into Degner 1, down to Degner 2. Red Bull closing. Meanwhile, we've got Tony battling away with Maxi down here. Maxi getting a time penalty. So you can see there, Red Bull having a look up the inside. And that there, I just saw it in the corner of the screen. He had a look for a dive up the inside. They landed down towards the hairpin, down towards 130 up. And that's actually all they're doing here is costing each other more time. Daddy's back has left the session as well. That means Ericsson Center up to 10th now. As here we go then, down the straight. Luton closing, but the Red Bull, remember, not enough straight line speed in that car. It has to go down to 7th gear. The top speed in this car, remember, doesn't have an 8th gear, it has 7 gears in these cars. Remember, you sometimes forget about that, but you only have 7. I6, got that gap now at 1 second from Plix. Luton in front. But down below, we got a weaving here going on. That is Max and Tony battling together. Now, Tony's going to go around the outside. Yes, he is. Can he go around the outside? Then has to back off there. Max there, slight weaving down the straight. Seemed fair to me there. We've got the Leclerc and Vettel closing up together as well. So the Leclerc and Vettel closing up together. And these two are going to be fighting against each other very heavily now. We saw in Formula 1 in real life. Leclerc and Vettel were having a bit of squabble, of course, with strategies there. We could see, oh my God, he's upside down. Holy moly. Oh my God. What a horrible accident there for Maxi. Dear God. That there is a horror. How has he done that? Well, I've never seen that in my entire life. Well, my goodness. Maxi, wow, I mean, okay, he just flipped the car, carried on like nothing ever happened. I've never seen that in my entire life. Wow, okay. So the cam is in 6th. I'm simply, I cannot believe my eyes. What a spectacular shunt, and he's still going. And he's overtaken, he's battling here with Vettel. Well, I'm absolutely speechless. He has got damage. He is in the pit lane, but dear God. Dear God, boys. What? How? I don't know how you flip. How? I've never seen that online. That is truly spectacular. Well, I6 leads here in what is now a very spectacular Grand Prix, but because of a spectacular accident involving one of the Red Bulls of Maxi, well, that is truly spectacular. But I6 leads from Plix in 2nd, Luton in 3rd, and he's still closing up there. BV with a 3-second time penalty. And good to see, by the way, everyone in the chat. Good to see Interceptor in the chat, a good old friend of mine. But Plix battling away here with I6. Now we've got the Red Bull closing up again then in the slipstream. Down they come, down towards the 130-yard corner, and through they come. You can just see they're all just kind of got themselves in a situation. They've got a massive gap ahead of Tony, but they just cannot overtake each other. Dirty, yeah, not a thing as much in these cars, but they are all just stuck behind each other. This is absolutely incredible. On to lap number 8 of 13 then in this Grand Prix. And the top 3 pulling miles away. By the way, good battle here potentially. between a few drivers, and maybe not actually, because you can see how spread away they are by the top three. This is incredible pace from these drivers, and whichever one of them makes a mistake first is really going to make a pre-issue. There I say, as Plix does make the issue, one's wide. And here we go again then, this could be an opportunity around the outside. Won't surely do it on the outside there, it's almost impossible. He's done it around the outside into Degner. Well, my friend, beautiful overtake there. Around the outside into one of the fastest corners on the circuit and pulls it off. Well, it's the Ferrari going to have to try and come back at that one, but beautiful stuff. From the Ferrari, from the Red Bull, gave each other enough space, and now can Luton chase down the leader. Well, here we are on that number 8 of 13. Luton now, after making a spectacular overtake on the outside of Click so far. Tony in 4th position ahead of Leclerc, who's now ahead of Cam, of course. So Leclerc, Cam, and I'm wondering, Leclerc, yellow flag, sector 2. I'm wondering what that's for. Is that Ayrton Senna? Yes, it is, and he's here at the wall, I wonder. I think he's got away with it. And if you're just joining us, of course, we've just come back after a spectacular accident. Vettel is out of this race, by the way. So he is out, and we just had a spectacular accident just a few laps ago, involving one of the Red Bulls flipping wildly off Maxi into the sky. Luckily for him, remains somehow grounded, but a simply spectacular accident on the circuit. Daddy's back down there in 10th with just over 3 and a bit laps to go. Gap up front remains at around about 1 second between these top 3 now. So as the race starts to cool down, let's go through what so far you see. The top 3 have kept each other all together in this race. They're pulled away from Tony, who is, to be fair, trying to close up slightly here on Plex. The gap is sitting around about that 1.9 seconds. Leclerc behind, then comes Cam, then comes BV in the Ferrari. Ayrton Senna in P9 ahead of Maxi, of course, who is closing very rapidly now on the back of Ayrton Senna. And let's see then, what can Senna do versus Maxi? The car that was upside down, rolling, pulling down the straight just a few moments ago. Now is an opportunity to overtake if he doesn't spin, which he almost does. And that's what you want to do there, my friend. Spinning the car up. These Red Bulls, of course, these 2010 cars, especially very low grip. Tony, meanwhile, fast lap of the Grand Prix. 1 minute 31.3. He's trying to close up to Plex. As Luton that not really closing up to the leader right now. The fact second and third are closing up more than anywhere else. Tony has got that gap to 1.7, so he's also closing. I don't think it'll be enough unless a mistake happens. You can see there, the Ferrari just straggling around there, no grip in that car. And now we have to look down here, through the long, right into the Degner corner, into the double right-hander. And you can just see again, the lead just opens up half a second there. You can see the Red Bull just supreme grip compared to the Ferrari through the mid-sector. And it's the McLaren, though, today that's just leading this race. It's had the best advantage, it's done the best job, and so far, so good for him. Meanwhile, Maxi and Leclerc, Senna battling together here is Senna now behind Maxi. So Maxi's got the jump when he needed it most, overtaking the other car as Maxi now tries to set sight, not really than anyone else because the gap is miles open in front. So no ray through up front, so really now he's just got to try and not make a mistake, try not to flip again. And that is the crucial thing, don't flip again, because that was and I'll go back to it again, I've never seen that in an F1 game for a long time. But Luton in second, Plix in third, Tony in fourth, ahead of Leclerc, ahead of Cam, who's doing a good job in sixth so far, just keeping himself clean, consistently there in about fifth or sixth the last couple of races. Of course, was involved in that spectacular shunt last week in Monza. But now the question is, of course, what can he do in terms of the Champions? As we come to the final 2 races after this, it's all looking so far towards Luton. He leads it by a comfortable margin. And all he has to do is really just finish these last couple of races on a high. And right now he's trying to close up to I6. The gap now closing down pretty rapidly here. He's got it down to about 8/10 of a second. And is there an opportunity here for Luton to win the Japanese Grand Prix? That'll be incredible if he can do it. Well, let's see. He's closing up all the time. He's got the pace, he's got the speed, and now the question is, can he try and come through and try and overtake the other car? Runs a bit wide there, and gets a time penalty. Well, here you can see down the straight, you can just see here that I6 is ever so slightly trying to break the toe. He knows that yellow flag sector 1. I'm wondering, that's 4. Is that Senna? It is Senna. And he's gone off the road, so he's having a bad day then. Ayrton Senna in the track where he won the championship in 1989. So it's in 1988, my apologies. Not having the best luck in his reincarnation yellow flags, and that is Maxi going off, and he's lost his nose. So, Maxi has lost his nose, and it's gone for bad to worse so far for him. And it's gone wrong again then. So, Maxi, no nose. He's going to be slow. What's out here for Senna? He'll try and come through. Maxi should let him through here. Oh, dear. Has runs into the back from there. No damage, luckily, up front. Gap is sitting at, well, 6/10 of a second there, remaining pretty comfortable. Cam as well, closing up to Leclerc so far. So Cam and Leclerc, these two, remember last week, had a massive accident together as they came to blow, aquaplaning in the wet. Here they go again. They're down towards the hairpin, then down towards what is, of course, the famous spoon corner. The gap there, about 3/10 of a second. They're closing up front. Remember, keeping an eye on it. The gap is closing 3/10 of a second here. I6 is struggling. And here we go in the slipstream. Yellow flag sector 3. I'm wondering what that's for, hard to say, and that is Maxi going backwards. But here we go then. Luton is going to have to look up the inside. He's going to try and find the gap then. He's going to force to go around the outside. Won't do it there. Has to try and do the cutback. Let's see, can he try anything then? Oh dear. Maxi's been disqualified, as that just allows I6 to pull that gap then. Here on the final lap here of the Japanese Grand Prix. It's all going to be between first and second. What's that down for Tony as well, closing up on Plix. Through they come into turn number 1. Battles going through for the top 3, the top 4 or 5 positions. All having a battle then. And let's see, can I6 do something and defend against Luton? Luton, remember, a 3-second time penalty, so wherever he finishes, it's not going to matter too much, but he's still going to try and come through. Here we come then, through Degner. Down they come through with the exit. Now to I6, a bit of lag. He's going to have to cover the inside line. He's going to have to cover it. Force the Red Bull around the outside. How do it there? Has to sit back. Has to wait. Now can he get the power on? Down the track, and the Red Bull very grippy. This is where the McLaren's good. Now can he try something? Down then, to have to be trying it. Round the outside potentially. Won't do it there. He's nose to tail. Look at this. Great stuff. Now they come through the last corners. Down the straight, down towards 130R. If he's going to have to do it, he'll have to cover him down the inside. He's trying to break the toe. Here we go then, down towards 130R. Down towards us again. Is he going to try and make a lunge? He won't. He'll try and go around the outside instead. Is he there? He is there. He's through. He's into the lead on the last corner. Can you believe it? Into the lead, Luton. But he's going to get a penalty, remember. So I6 will still win the race. Luton down to third. Tony gets into second on the line ahead of Plix. My goodness, Plix, I think, also had a penalty. Yes, he did, down in fourth. Cam fifth. Leclerc sixth. We're waiting on the last couple of cars, and that is BV. And Senna. We're just waiting on Ayrton Senna to finish this race as well. And Daddy's back, by the way. We've got over 2 minutes to go. So let's run through your grid then. Isaac ahead of Tony, Luton, Plix, Cam, Leclerc, BV, Ayrton Senna, and Daddy's back down the back. As well, out of this race, Vettel, Chris, Perkins and Maxi, who disqualified, who had a spectacular shot just a few laps before the end on lap 6 with a spectacular, oh dear. And wow, what a crazy race. I'm sorry my voice is dead, but that really surprised me. A spectacular accident involving Maxi, and he's been taken to the medical centre. He is okay, by the way, because he was still driving. He got himself disqualified, but I've never... As he go to the podium now, and well, what you can say is going to be McLaren winning again on the top step of the podium with what was a very good drive from I6, and now the champagne. Well, after that crazy Grand Prix of action, let's go for your result. I6 wins the Japanese Grand Prix ahead of Tony. Luton in 3rd with a penalty, with Plix alongside in 4th. Cam in 5th with the Class 6. PV7, Ayrton Senna 8th. And Daddy back 9th. Out of this race, Vettel, Chris, Perkins and Maxi. Well, from Suzuka, in what has been an absolutely spectacular race full of ups and downs, I have been Evil Dragon. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, I've been Evil. Take care and goodbye.